Okay, let's start.
Well, um, hello and welcome. We are here live. Um, well, quite delayed in actuality, but here live, with a special presentation of MWO comp elimination match tonight between the BLanner Observ Battalion and the 228 Reapers. Um, both of these teams got in kind of late in the game. Blob had to play a 12th place tie match to qualify into top 12. 228 Reapers got into the three-way tie for ninth, 10th, 11th on the very final game of Comp Q. Both of them took care of business last week against winners bracket teams. Blob taking care of First French Regiment 3-0, and 228 Reapers defeating um, the KDCM. Uh, I forget what their acronym is. It's KDCM 28 something. It's really long. Um, but either way, it should be a really interesting match. These teams are fairly well. Uh, the predictions are, I believe, 48% in favor of Blob, 52% in favor of Reapers. Generally, these are evenly matched teams from what we've seen from them. As we're getting ready to get this one rolling, I am sending out lobby invites now. Um, yeah, what do you expect to see tonight, Mokor?
Well, from what we've seen on the stats website, most of these teams mostly play trade, and they have the longest stats on the matches, with like almost 8 minutes for each of their drops. So I'm guessing there's gonna be a lot of trade today.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that we should see a good bit of trade. Ash is who am I supposed to invite from 228R? I'm not really sure. Um,
I believe that should be Red Baron or Jay-Z.
okay, Red Baron or Jay Z. Um, I have Red Baron invite to lobby, and just waiting on Just Call Me Ash to accept my friend request in order to get him into this lobby. So, um, yeah,
And
228R,
228 is already here.
they had a really close. I mean, it was 3-1 against KDCM. It was a really close set of games. I had the cast for that last week, and I can say KDCM definitely had a lot of chances. Just Call Me Ash has accepted the friend request, so the invite is out to him. Um, we won't be playing on Forest Colony first, but we're gonna have to transition to map ban here in a minute. The 228R versus KDCM game, a lot of them came down close on caps. Close on kills. I believe at least one of them was. But KDCM had a cap lead on Bear Claw that they weren't able to convert after trying to brawl push. So 228R, I mean, battle tested, but they were able to get through those close matches and find a way to win to get here this week. BLanner, I believe, is 5-0. And the matches against First French weren't nearly as close as some of what 228R had to do. So I really feel like 228R might have a little bit of advantage in terms of those close matches converting down the stretch, when the pressure is kind of on. Really, we're able to find ways to convert some of those wins that were close. BLanner might have a little bit of a skill gap, which is crazy when you're talking about a 228 R roster that has a lot of, guys like Jiffy. I mean, don't see Jay Z here tonight, who's a key contributor for them when he can be available. But 228Rs, they got plenty of talent, but this Blob team is loaded with former world champions. I think they've got at least 3 guys with gold badges. Gold champ badges. So yeah, I mean, I really think 228R maybe has a little bit of a practice edge. I haven't been following, I haven't really heard through the grapevine whether Blob decided to start practicing once they made 228 or once they made top 12. They had said throughout the comp queue they had not intended to practice at all. That was sort of something that they didn't want to do, and they ended up the final weekend being able to push and get top 12 anyway, even though they were more of a casual team. But yeah, they might have a little bit of a practice edge. 228R does tonight. We'll see. We'll look at the strategies and see if maybe the strategies and builds maybe give a little bit of an edge to 228R tonight. But lots of interesting dynamics going into this one. This is an elimination game, so both of these teams, winner moves on, loser goes home, and winner moves on to face, I believe, Mantra, out of the winners bracket, who lost today, to DSC, which is a winnable game for either of these teams. So either of these teams has a chance to find themselves inside the top 4 of this tournament with a win here today, and obviously a win next week, which will be difficult, but both of these teams could still go on a run here. So I'm really interested to see how it plays out.
Yeah, that's for sure. And at the very least, whichever teams wins today is gonna get a 6th or 5th place, I guess. So yeah, that's a really high stake game. We're gonna see today how it's gonna play out.
So today, the loser of this game will almost assuredly finish 8th. I believe PCS was the eliminated team on the other side of the losers bracket, and I believe they had a higher seed than Reapers and BLanner, and I believe that's how it's determined: is highest seed going in, then you go by. So which round you're eliminated in, then the highest seed going in gets the top seed in the round of elimination. So we had an elimination earlier tonight. Potato Carry Society falls to 10th Leeward Guards. They'll finish 7th, and the loser of this game will finish 8th. So, chance to win here and really make a statement. Neither of these teams necessarily were supposed to even be here. Both of these teams were. BLanner certainly was not projected to be in top 12. 228 Reapers, people thought that they were. Going into the season, really, they had been Div A. But then going into that final, not just the final night, but the final hours of the final night, they found themselves on the outside looking in for much of the top 12 round before finally being able to get in. Ash is alone still.
Yeah, I believe we can start with the map bans,
I'm gonna
and after that we can.
yeah, I'm gonna transition to map ban. Sorry, we've been talking.
Let's just, yeah, let the teams know that they can start the map banning, and after we determine the sites, it's gonna be easier to move everyone in.
So BLanner is going to pick HPG to start in. So we are going to see some map bans here. 228 Reaper's turn to choose. HPG has been BLanner's bread and butter to a lot of extent. They usually like to pick that one first in their matches. They feel comfortable about winning. There. We'll see what 228 Reapers decides to do. I think, Ash had the link ready. Doesn't want to invite his guys to think he determines side. Would be my guess. I was kind of waiting for him to get his guys on before we did the map ban, but chose not to do that. Reapers.
Yeah, I guess they having a hard time to choose which of the maps they wanna play first.
Yeah, Ash is already picked, so Reapers needs to pick. Red Baron said he's ready. He chose Bear Claw, so maybe needed a second to get the link open. What happens, but it'll be Bear Claw second. Interesting choice for Reapers. That has not been their strongest map from what I've seen. Viridian Bog, BLanner chooses. So that's really interesting. Terra for Reapers, which makes Frozen City the final map. I would have expected both of these teams to potentially choose Frozen City with one of their picks. So it's interesting we see that it goes to the final map. I really think that that has a lot to do with side advantage, neither team wanting to be forced to play a certain side. HPG, Reapers will choose side 2. Pretty standard. So we will be playing HPG first, so I'm going to go ahead and start there, and Reapers is choosing side 2, so I'm going to start swapping.
Yeah, and for Birklow, Reapers are choosing side 1, so you'd have to swap once again.
So we will have some side swaps. Then we are going to go back, or stay on side 1 for Bog, as Reapers chooses side 1 on Bog.
Really happy to see the Bog being played.
I would
Not many teams
expect
play
BLanner
it.
to choose side 2, and they do. So we will have a one map swap, and then, or one side swap, and then 3 straight on the same side. And then Frozen City to close it out will be another side swap. So I hope we get to see all those maps tonight. We do now have the correct order of the maps: HPG, Bear Claw, Viridian, Terra, and Frozen. And we are going to transition quickly back to the lobby as we await Team 1. Team 1, 5 minutes. So Ash's guys aren't here, but with the maps being banned, he has 5 minutes to get his guys on. Well,
Do you wanna maybe
we're gonna go
switch
to
to
the
the map
map.
strats?
Yes, let's look at the map room real quick. So HPG is certainly an interesting map. There's a couple different angles. I expect we'll see wall trade from both teams. Basement theta point can be pretty critical. If you're gonna do a trade strategy, but you don't want to overcommit lights into the basement, or you could end up giving up a wall rush, or end up running your guys into the teeth of potentially brawl, which you also don't want to do. Neither of those are really good options. You need to have it scouted well if you're going to commit significant mechs to Theta. But it's really hard to hold once you do have it if you don't have a numbers advantage in the basement. So whichever side can get Theta could be critical. What I will say, I've seen a lot of the theory seems to be this year is to try to play back caps. So if you can light push along the wall from Team 1 side and maybe get towards Kappa, you can hopefully back off their traders and potentially, get an opportunity to cap Kappa. Or, from Team 2 side, there's similar angles to, I think, get towards Gamma. These
Yep.
aren't full brawl strategies necessarily. You kind of push your mechs in order to try to back off the opposition and cap a point. Which, both of which can work. We'll see what the technique each side plays. But yeah, as the rest of Team 1 has joined, we will await their locking. Sorry for
Yep.
running a little bit slow tonight. We were
Mostly,
discussing.
I I agree with you on this strats. People are usually putting some mechs into Theta in the basement, but usually just in the beginning of the game to grab it, maybe even get a kill on a lone light that goes there to grab it from the
Mm-hmm.
enemy team. But after that, putting a lot of mechs on Theta really doesn't seem to benefit you, as you just allow your opponent to basically seal off you from every possible entrance and just take the high ground, or maybe even jump onto the wall and kill your assaults or trade mechs that are standing there. So yeah, considering these teams usually play trade, I believe we're gonna see at least 3, maybe 4 mechs on the walls, and a couple of lights, a whole wolf pack just going around on the bottom part of the map, trying to maybe grab Tate here and there, or just try to prevent a push on the wall, if it's ever gonna happen.
I believe it's about 2 minutes left for Team 1. I could be wrong on that. Let me check. I can't type. I'm
Yeah, I
trying to
believe.
type 2-minute warning, but it's not working.
Okay, for the mechs, the most used mech for Blob team was the XZM and Vulcan, while the most used chassis were XZ, Vulcan, Flea, and Shadowcat. And for the Reapers team, let's see, we have Shadowcat as well as the most used mech.
All right, Team 1 is
And
locked. So Team 1 is locked.
noise.
Team 2 will have 5 minutes.
Yep. And for the Reapers, the most used chassis was Stone Rhino. So I believe we're gonna see some Stone Rhinos on the walls, some Executioners as well, and probably some Stalkers, at least from the Reapers team, as they were bringing them a couple of times.
Yeah. I believe Blob has brought Stalker as well. I could be wrong on that, but I believe they brought a mid-range Stalker potentially on this map before. I could be misremembering. But I had their game against Op 4, and I believe that they had a mid-range Stalker in that. Although it could have been Op 4 that had that, or I'm just completely off.
Well, from the stats I see, they did bring a Stalker one time, though I'm not sure what it was running. But they also brought Stone Rhinos and Madcat too.
Yeah. The Stone Rhino, they really like the Stone Rhino, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, Stone Rhino is one of the best, if not the best, assault mech right now. It's fast, it's bulky, it can take a hit and do a lot of damage.
Yeah, for sure. Um, well,
Okay, Team 2 is
we
locked
are
as well.
locked. So we are going to transition back to the lobby and launch here. And actually, I'm going to transition back to the match view to get this proper. So Blob versus a 228 Reapers. Let's start now. So who would you like? Would you like Blob or the Reapers?
Uh, I would need a sec as I'm still loading in. Okay,
Um,
I can stay with Sigma side here and tell you what mechs
okay.
they are bringing.
Well, I'm gonna.
I have a second to admire the beautiful view of this map while everyone is still loading in.
Yeah. We're taking a second to load in here. Um, I think this is pretty regular for. I believe it's a Blob who. Potentially two Reapers as well. Might have a couple guys that take a second to load in. I don't know why.
Capture and hold the
Oh, there's the game sound.
Stop any
So
hostiles get in your way.
Stalker 5S for Blob, Flea 17. 5S is ER large. Stone Rhino 6, that
We
ER
have
large.
Gamma.
Slip and Griff is bringing the Crusader, mid range. Shadowcat MI,
Enemy forces have
Vulcan,
Sigma.
Osiris, and XCM.
Okay, so for Reapers we have a Stalker with 6 year larges, Stone Rhino, Annihilator, Janier 2C, Shadowcat Miszy Pieszył, Phoenix 7S, and Spider and Viper grabbing Kappa right now.
Kappa is under enemy control.
So, it doesn't look like Epsilon is a priority for Blob at all. They have nobody going near there. They're really stacking their lights towards Theta.
Yeah, and I already grabbed it.
Yeah, they do have it. They are putting some ticks on it. 228 are not really contesting it. Nothing. The problem is that's just still a 2 cap. It's 2-2, even with Theta, as the trades start to come in.
Yeah, but they can always grab Epsil later. And the rest of the Reapers are coming in closer to basement. Probably there's gonna be a push in a second. Although none of the Blob team is there anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a Stone Rhino trading here from one of the ramps. Annihilator just got to his position on the wall.
Ash
And
is really taking some damage here in the Stone Rhino 6. Red Baron's getting it in the Stalker too. It's close to even trades, both teams.
We have gained Epsilon.
yeah, and Reapers are starting their push into the basement.
Yeah, and Reapers
Seeing no
is
one.
uncontested here in their basement push. They'll be able to flip Theta and get a 3 cap here, and not much that Blob is going to be able to do about that, really. There's an opportunity maybe to get on the traders with all of this weight just committed into
Theta
the
is
basement,
controlled by the enemy.
but Red Baron's still taking a lot of damage. Is Yorshka and Red Baron the only traders here? Where's the Stone Rhino Koloss? Is the Koloss in the basement? He is.
Yeah,
Jiffy
he
in the
went to the basement.
Koloss. So that's not ideal. 2 against 3. Now, Red Baron's taking it on the chin, but Ashes as well. So, slight trade advantage, maybe towards Blob. But even, when you have 3 against 2, you should be doing a little bit better than slight, you would think. I haven't seen the Red Baron's components. Just looking at percentage. Blob is
so
just kind
far
of sitting back.
nothing is open on Red Baron, just damage all around. Stone Rhino wanted to move out of the basement, but decided to stay in the basement for a bit longer. Guess they just trying to bait Blob into going into basement.
Well,
Maybe
G-Ram
grab a
in the
kill there.
XC has jumped off the wall.
Ooh, same for Yondu. He jumped off the wall in his Stalker.
That's interesting, because that leaves Ash as the lone trader, up on the wall. Still now a 2-on-1 for Ash, although I'm not sure the Annihilator has angles.
And Blob is preparing for the push. On the left side on the map here.
Yeah,
Wolfpack is already here.
Blob's coming in hard on this right side, left side, sorry. Really trying to get towards Red Baron, and then maybe swing Kappa. So we talked about this earlier. This is a strong push angle. This is one of the real theory in Team 1 side. But G-Ram back up on the wall, trying to get some trades from the Annihilator. And these basement fighters are swarming up to try to stop this push.
Red Baron jumps from the wall, so they won't have his support here.
No, and he can't deny the point. He can't deny the point. He's gonna get run down by the flea probably too. Close fighting, close fighting. I don't know why my game audio is not working, but really close. Hard to really tell. I think Blob's got a slight advantage here, but that Xy's taking a beating on the wall. Nothing's died. The Flea now, though, the Flea's trying to make a run at the Annihilator and has taken a lot of leg damage. So that's not good for Blob. Still haven't flipped the point back either, and Caps are getting a little bit out of control. Finally making a play for the Cap, but they've completely left Gamma completely isolated. I'm not sure if Reaper's noticed, though. G-Ram almost cored. Hard to
Yeah,
follow
one of the
everything.
lights is going for Epsi, and Call Me Ash is gonna protect it from the wall. Zelk is getting some back hits in here.
Epsi's not the play. Ash is able to deny, and temporary access is able to come in for the finish. Zelk's overextended here.
Yeah, and Ash got his back torso with his Alpha Strike, so
Yeah,
Zelk is gonna
so
go down
Zelk's
here
gonna
in a
go
sec.
down, but will temporary access be able to range over to Gamma in time? The first kill of the match, but lots of percentage coming off of pretty much anybody. I'd give Blob. I think Blob's got a good, fairly decent percentage advantage here. Hard to really tell from just a cursory look. What Blob doesn't have is caps, and Gamma is gonna fall and probably gonna be full capped.
Resource point Gamma.
Theta
Yep.
though, Theta, Blob is able to play for Theta. And I don't think 228 has a lot of angles for. Oh, Theta fight.
They're coming into the basement.
But
Jiffy
they're
is here in his
not
Rhino.
denying it. Royal Star's legged. Jiffy's trying to fight this, but I think the numbers are pretty clearly in favor of Blob down here. Temporary
They
access
just
still
need to hold down.
Resource
good.
point Theta is ours.
G-Ram and the Xe goes down, though. Huge kill.
Ooh, leg lost on Noble Rat and his Vulcan. Royal Star may go down here.
Royal Star's
Loses a
going
leg as
down
well.
in a hurry.
Still staying alive.
But Gladisaur has ranged over. I'm stuck in the wall here. Gladisaur and Red Baron have been able to get into this basement fight. I don't believe they were here a second ago. Temporary Axis goes down. So that's a huge kill. The Crusader's going down too. Sleppengriff goes down. So that's pretty much going to swing this basement fight back into 228's favor pretty handily. As Noble Rat goes down, Theta's going to get ticked. Epsilon's getting ticked. And this is going to be a 228 win on Caps, almost assuredly.
Wow. Yeah.
I thought. Oh no! Why aren't they capping? There it is. Okay. Yondu and the Stalker are trying to get in on this fight, but just going to get ripped apart. I thought Blob had
Theta
that,
is controlled by the enemy.
but unable to
They did.
finish it. The numbers just swung at the last set. I thought they had initially they had numbers in the basement, but then that just didn't materialize. If Ash can get a kill on Epsilon, though, I don't think the numbers work. Unless it's a 4-cap.
Shouldn't matter.
No, they can 4-cap here on Epsilon. Fire Ant just needs to live.
We've captured resource point Sigma.
And he does a pretty good job on it, yeah. And one of the lights is going for
But
Kappa already, so it should
Kappa's
be...
gonna flip back. Yeah, Kappa's gonna flip back. Okay,
Yeah.
so and he can just outrun Ash here. So it will be a 228R victory. Really tight fight in the basement. I'm not sure what is up with my game audio. I can only hear
We've failed.
the announcer. I can't hear any of the effects.
Probably because we are in vacuum.
Maybe it's just with HPG. But
Yeah.
Fire Ant and Zelk, neither of which had a lot of damage, but Fire Ant with 1 minute and 50 seconds of cap time, critical for that 228R. I mean, they won on kills ultimately through that being able to force that basement fight. But critical amounts of cap time. Yondu really put out a lot in the Stalker, Jiffy out 628, and the Kolos, and critical in that basement fight. Really put it in work in that basement fight. So really, really solid win from 228R. So they're going to get out to the 1-0 lead, and those 1-0 leads are tough. It doesn't sound like a lot, but you lose one, particularly if you chose the map first, which Blob did. Blob chose HPG, and then they lose. And you think the map, if you're choosing first, that's your best map, right? So if you go down 0-1 on what you think is your best map or the map that you're most comfortable with, that doesn't always bode well going forward. We'll see if Blob can rally, but we're going to go ahead, and I believe there's a side swap here.
Yep, I think so.
So we're going to go ahead and swap sides and go and talk about that one a little bit. This is wrong. I've already messed this up. Yondu is this is correct, right? Royal Temporary, Red Baron, Jiffy, Fire Ant, Zelt, Gladystorm, and Andulard. That's 228. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Although, temporary access should be on Blob team.
Temporary access on Blob team, and who is not? Yorshka.
Yeah.
I thought it was the 228 plus the JGX guys, and so I kind of screwed that up.
Yeah.
But either way, let's go. We're gonna go back to the map room. We saw a couple things on that last one that I think were interesting. We saw, Blob play, the angle that we talked about, trying to push towards Kappa from Team 1 side. I really do think that that's strong technique. It worked for them. They got Kappa. The things that I really noticed, they didn't cap Epsilon at the beginning of the game. They capped Theta, but they didn't hold it, and they were able to make that. They had to make that basement push late because, they during the Kappa push they gave up their back cap. They gave up Gamma. And during the Theta push, they ended up giving up Epsilon too. So they weren't able to, manage the back caps. They ended up having to get this fight on Theta, which ended up not going their way. They had numbers initially, but they weren't able to force project the same way that 228R ended up being able to, with some of the way that their assaults were positioned. And obviously, once their executional went down, I don't think they had any assaults in the basement. So, versus 2 from 228R. But yeah, Theta critical, Kappa push critical, back cap on Gamma.
I'll interrupt you for a sec. We need to change them up to bear claw.
Yes.
So guys can
yes.
prepare. Yeah, I believe the main thing here was this Theta push. Originally, Blob had an upper hand in it, but they decided to put all the baskets into grabbing Theta instead of just pushing into the Reapers and killing them while they were trying to go one by one into the basement.
Yeah, I mean, the Reapers having to you never want to be responding necessarily to a Theta push. Reapers did a great job though. Being able to not get aggressive when that Kappa push came. They really tried to keep their guys in the basement. They fought a little bit, skirmished a little bit. Sorry.
Yeah, the main thing for Reapers was here is that they bought a lot of time for their lights to get to Gamma and Epsi. Even if they lost this fight, even if they would have lost this fight on Theta, they would still have won by just grabbing Gamma and Epsi at some point.
Well, let's talk ever so briefly, about Bearclaw. So I believe Reapers is now Team 1. Reapers chose Bearclaw, and Blob chose Team 2. I believe Team 2 is generally considered to be a much stronger side. You can get the Theta faster from Team 2. There's a rock, I believe, in G5 that's quite advantageous for the trade setups from Team 2. I mean, there's a few angles here. The Epsilon, 7-line swing. You see a lot of teams do try to push their assaults down 7-line. Trade along those, I forget what they're called, airstrips, tarmacs. Those wide, long angles, firing lines that you have. And then, you try to set up like an Epsilon, Sigma, Gamma, Epsilon, Beta, Sigma. You have some lines there. The other one is, you play north-south and you set up on the rocks in G5, G7. So, you can go with the mobile push. You can go with the, stagnant trade. I mean, you can go with brawl. You can definitely brawl into this. I don't think that's really in the DNA of either of these teams. So don't expect that. But you can brawl into this look. So, I wouldn't always say brawl's really ideal for Bear Claw. A lot of teams had a lot of success brawling Bear Claw in Comp Q, but here into top 8, where you have teams able to execute some of these high-level trade looks and execute them well, I really do give trade an advantage on Bear Claw, or at least cap game. So as Team 2 locks, we are going to go ahead and launch here, as we will transition to our other scene.
Yeah, another good thing for Team 2 here is that they get to Kappa a bit faster. I believe it's like 10 seconds difference.
I'm having some technical
So-
issue. Go on.
So yeah, they have a bit of advantage on starting the Cup game here, because they can get to Theta and Kappa much faster. But yeah, I believe trade is the main focus of this map, because the center is pretty open, and sides are open as well, so if you wanna brawl, it's mostly a cheese strategy, with you going on one of the sides, either Kappa or Epsi, and trying to kill some lights or
I've got
thing
Sigma
from the
side.
side.
I've got Sigma side.
Okay. I'm on Gamma. Let's see. Team 2 is Gamma side, I believe. And we have
Yes.
we have Blob here with me.
Okay, so it looks like
Okay.
we've got a hold called. So Zelk says 228R has a crash.
Coming in. Capture all the resource points. Stop any hostiles.
So I'm not sure who that is. But we can look at the mechs for a second. 228R is bringing their Stalker mid-range. Jiffy in that. Colas, he loves that. Sturm 6s, 2R large, 2 Hag 30s. XEM, this is mid-range. The Shadowcat Mishipishu, this is beams actually. Very strong. One of the 3 different Shadowcat builds you'll see. Part of the reason why the Shadowcat's the most played mech is just because there's like 3 different builds for it that are really good. Ice Ferret, Osiris, Urban Mech. See that on Bear Claw sometimes, light PPC mag shots. I believe they ran this last week. Alright, well, they are back. So 1340 or 1345. We're gonna go at 1345. So, you can go ahead and look
Okay,
at the.
we have a Shadowcat from Blob team here as well, but with Zappy Gauss and Plasma Cannons. Executioner M for Shine Plasma, Crusader, Vulcan with Snub-Nose PPCs, Flea with Mag Shots, Stone Rhino with Year Larges and Year Mets, Black Widow Warhammer with Ballistic build, and Ice Ferret with small pulse lasers and Year Micro lasers. Already going to Epsi.
Well, the Shadowcat is gonna come to deny Epsi with the beams. As 228R makes a play for Kappa. Gonna try to keep this 2-2 on caps here. Unable to get Theta is 228, although Royal Star takes some damage, but just a little bit. But Gladisaur can just beam this Ice Ferret. This Ice Ferret needs to get out of here without taking too much damage.
Confirming that we have
He's not going to be
possession
able to
of
cap this
Kappa.
point, and he's in trouble here.
Yeah, already got a red armor on the leg, so...
I'm trying to click on him, but I can't. I'm not sure why. Yeah, already red armor on one of the legs. Definitely not ideal. I don't think the Shadowcat really can make a play for Epsilon. Blob is really stacked up, and their Flea's also taken some damage. But Blob's basically, all their mechs are within a grid square or two. That's not necessarily ideal. They're trying to trap the Shadowcat, though. They know the Shadowcat's maybe going to make a play for Epsilon. All of the Blob mechs going towards Epsilon. Stalker Red Baron, kind of out there. Blobs might push this Epsilon line.
Yeah.
So this is the
Seems
line.
they know it.
This is the line I kind of talked about, where you push your assaults down this right side. Blob not electing to use some of the rock high ground, but Ash will hang in to trade. Here, I'm not sure what's the grid square.
They've taken Epsilon.
Gets punished for it. Epsi flips to Blob, but Theta flips to 228R. And pretty good map control, I would say, here from Blob. Kappa's looking isolated, but that entire half of the map is completely empty from Blob. 228R really has what they want. They have the 3 caps. They're trading, and it seems like doing pretty well on their trades, although Yorshka's taking some damage. Yondu, ooh, getting burned in the Warhammer Black Widow. Don't love the Warhammer pick. That's a squishy mech.
Yeah, and the rest of the Blob team are pushing up to Theta.
Well,
There's
yeah.
gonna be some play to grab it.
I don't see how they can grab it. They're gonna without winning a fight here. So unless they brawl, unless they're
Yeah.
ready and willing to brawl push, almost. But now it's getting denied. They almost got it there, but the XC is getting crushed for it, and Epsi's about to flip to 228. So Caps really, 228 really managing the Caps well these first 2 games. And Blob is beat up. Red Baron, though, and the Stalker is about to go down. But a lot of hurt mechs for Blob, including Shine Plasma. And it's a 4 cap for 228R. And here comes the push. Kind of, almost. Jiffy is close, but
yeah,
not
they need
fully
some
committing.
help here.
Jiffy's gonna get got, but there goes Shine Plasma's torso, and he's down.
Ooh, nice
That's a
back shot
nice
from
kill.
Wellstar.
Oh yeah,
Arniteos goes
I
down as
believe
well.
Jiffy's lost a torso. The Flea goes down. No, Jiffy only down an arm, so he's still fighting. Full push, and it's just getting eaten up. On the backside, Warhammer Yondu's getting eaten up. Ash seems to be the focus target here in the middle. There goes Yondu, finally goes down to the Mishapeshu. Fire Ant dies, but Ash is about to go down.
Andy Lard is staying alive.
Self-destruction from
Ooh.
Slippengriff and Ash. Cronite gets Andy Lard, but Temporary Axis, he's losing his leg. Noble Rat,
6
he's
vs
lost
3
a
already.
leg. And what's left? Cronite
Only
here in the Mishapeshu.
Right, yeah. Without a leg already, so he's
That's
not going
already
anywhere.
legged, and 228R gonna jump out to a commanding 2-0 lead. So this is,
Wow.
I mean, great for 228. Obviously, chances for Blob on both maps, more so on HPG, but you know, that's, as I talked about, that's the danger of going down 0-1, particularly as the team that picks map first, is you get your best map, and if you lose, then you get their best map, and if you lose that, you go down 0-2. not quite midnight yet for Blob. We've seen reverse sweeps this tournament. Mantra versus PCS comes to mind. Jiffy with 840 in the Stone Rhino Koloss, and he was frontlining and did not die. That push never really fully reached him. Was able to just kind of hang in, get his pokes in, and really just deal at that short range. That Koloss build absolutely mauls. Yorshka also 500 damage. Royal Star gets almost 500 in the Phoenix Hawk. Gladisaur 400 in the Mishipeshu. Really key play from Gladisaur in the Mishipeshu to begin the match with really, denying that cap and taking a lot of percentage off the Ice Ferret. So, really nice plays from 228 there.
Yeah, and from what I see in both of these matches, 228 really make sure to not die. Even if they beaten up, they just try to win as much time as possible, and they do it pretty well. Also, another thing to mention, Fire Ant did a beautiful flank on the whole, basically, blob team, going from the airstrip on Elliot 4 and just killing, firstly moving Shine Plasma, showing his back to his teammates, so he died very fast, and then just basically being a thorn in the side of the blob team.
I believe it's Viridian Bog now. Do we
Yep,
side swap again? I don't think so.
no, we stay the same sides.
So we will be the same sides. I'm going to call Team 1 5 minutes, as we're going to go to the map room. So, we saw their Blob attempted, it seemed like, especially once they saw that Mishipeshu denying them on Epsilon, they attempted this swing out. And usually it gets pretty strung out. I think you're not really looking to murder ball this. You can have your Stone Rhino in the back still trading, and your XC up here or whatever. But they never really fully committed to that idea. They end up cutting back once they lose Theta, cutting back in into this cover to try to trade. They lose Theta, they don't have Epsilon, they're down 3-1 on caps, and rather than really committing to this long push angle where you kind of snake in here, you deny Epsilon here. You can prevent the Shadow Cap from suppressing Epsilon. You can cap that. You can get towards Sigma. It's hard. If your assaults are snaking in on this backline, it's hard for Team 1 to protect Sigma. You kind of give up Gamma, but then maybe there's Theta that you can play for. They end up kind of cutting back towards their lone back cap. And really ceding a lot of the map control to 228, where you have this 3 cap and you have this cap that's denied, and 3-1 is really effective.
Yeah, I believe the main point for Blob here, they hope they will get Epsilon in the beginning, but Reapers basically countered it with a Shadowcat Beam Laser build who just didn't allow them to get it. So they had to put more mechs into here, try to retake Epsilon. They bled some armor, they lost some time, and all of the assaults and heavy mechs that were here were just trading in disadvantage because there were less of them.
Yeah, well, the trades didn't really go Blob's way. I didn't really like the Warhammer pick. I think the Crusader can be good, but it's kind of not what you necessarily would be my first choice in today's meta, quote unquote. But we'll see if they can rally on Viridian. Viridian, Blob gets team 2 on Viridian. They chose Viridian, I believe, and we didn't talk about it in the map bans, but 228 made the very interesting decision to choose team 1. I wouldn't say, well, very interesting is maybe the wrong term. There is some debate as to whether or not Team 1 is better. It probably is, now that I think about it. I kind of swapped the sides of my mind accidentally. Team 2, you have the Kappa Rock, which people like. But I believe Epsilon's pretty much just easier to hold than Theta. From Team 1 side can hold Theta and Epsilon. Team 2 has to get Theta, in order to really get a 3 cap. And it's easily suppressed from Team 1 side. So, 228R gets to choose Team 1. Now, we'll see which rock high grounds they end up setting their traders up. 228 or Blob will either have to make a play for Theta early, which they could, or make a play for, Epsilon later. Once you don't have Theta, it's really hard to get it back. So usually you kind of have to play for Epsilon. The D5 Rock, transitioning to the D5 Rock is really Team 2's best move. It allows you to cover Epsi Kappa, and hopefully nothing gets to your back cap Sigma, and just kind of fight around D5. So we'll see what Blob elects to do here. If they can get Theta early, I like Team 2 side actually I think it's very good at receiving pushes. Team 2 side is, and you kind of have to push if you don't get Theta from Team 1 side. So, you're better off probably just pushing Theta, but if you have mechs up in the, I believe it's D8 high ground, F7 high ground that can suppress, it becomes quite tricky. So, we're going to go ahead and launch here as Team 2 locks.
Yeah, I believe if you can grab Theta, Team 2 is preferential here, because Kappa Point is really open. There's no big rocks covering it, and there's a good place in D5 where most of the assaults from Team 2 are gonna be standing, so they can cover it. And yeah, Kappa is most likely gonna be yours from the beginning, and if you manage to grab Theta, you can just sit on your 3 Kappa and just wait for enemies to push. But if you don't manage to grab Theta, then it's the same story, but from the Team 1 side. They can just sit until the very end and just control Epsi, Theta, and Gamma, I believe. And just
Yeah.
wait for enemies to push into them.
Well,
I'm gonna go to the Sigma side here.
I'm going to take Gamma side. So, Reaper's looking to close it out here. This is do or die time for Blob, and you don't necessarily have the ideal side. But this is elimination. Blob, very talented team. Very talented team. And if 228R is able to finish this, very impressive win. This 228R team has a lot of talent too. I don't want to discount how talented this 228R team is, and they really, even though it took them till probably the final final 10 minutes to qualify for top 12, they were always a bit of a sleeping giant, and they really have been playing well the last 2 weeks. So they could really make a run if they can finish this out. It seems like 228R is really going to make a play for Theta. They're moving their Xe, a Crusader, a Mistlynx, and a Jenner over to Theta. 4 mechs to Theta. Other mechs
Same
include
as Blob,
Viper,
but
Direwolf, and Stone Rhino. Blob,
under enemy control.
can Arnetheus get it? He does.
Theta is controlled by the enemy.
So now we'll have this Theta fight. Not a lot of ticks, so easily ticked back from Team 1 side, and I think Team 1 side has a little bit better angles to slip in and take that back. What I will say, not a lot of caps on Sigma either, so if this comes to a late game cap game, 228R can flip that back pretty fast if they need to. Epsi looks like not what Blob wants. Blob setting their Mad Cat up on the high ground above Kappa. Where are their other assaults, though? really favoring Theta. Another Warhammer Black Widow.
Yeah, and we have a 5-5 mechs here on Theta right now.
Yorshka taking
These-
damage, and Yorshka's the Overwatch on Theta. So if Blob can take out Yorshka, even if they were to lose Theta, they could potentially get it back. But Fire Ant's sneaking Theta and is able to uncap it, almost surely. No, he's not. He's not unable to uncap it, and now Blob's wise to it. He was close. You know, that's like a hairline of a tick, like so close. But 228R is really taking a beating on percentage. They're traders. This does not look great for 228. Down on caps, certainly down on percentage. Fire in the Jenner and Yorshka in the XCM, really getting beat up. Yorshka needs to not trade because he is alone against multiple traders from Blob. And his Direwolf and his Stone Rhino not giving him any help. But Jiffy is transitioning over to potentially get into this fight. Jiffy very isolated. If 228R is able to notice this, I mean, Zelk maybe can range over, but they could potentially jump him. I don't think they have the mechs in the area to do it, but very isolated out on the wing. Yorshka, he's still trading, trying to.
Yeah, we have a Direwolf from Reaper's team here, being away from the fight, and I guess he's waiting for some kind of push or something.
Oh, what happened to Jiffy? He took a ton of damage and he's cored. Now, Shine Plasma took it on the chin, I think, from Jiffy there. But Ash and the Mad Cat, too, starting to show some damage. But definitely still favor percentage to Blob. And only really the Jenner is threatening Theta. I wonder if 228's looking to push here. They've kind of stacked up their Mist Links, their Crusader, the Vipers in the area. Flea now transitioning over to Theta. And Andy Lard gonna make a play for it? Maybe, maybe not.
Both teams are watching Theta, so it's really hard to move into it
228R
and try something.
really not doing much. You know, running back and forth a bit. They've left Epsilon completely isolated. Blob doesn't seem to notice that, but if they snuck a light over to Epsilon, they could get a 4-cap here. Not sure you want to risk it though. And there goes Theta. No. Yes. Unable to get the suppress, but denies it. And that's a lot of damage going out on those lights as they push around. A lot of damage on the 228 light pack. And Blob's content to run away. I mean, they've got a 100-cap lead as long as they don't give up Theta. You know, they can pretty securely take this cap lead and milk it. Unfortunately, though, I'm not sure they're going to be able to suppress as Theta flips to 228R. So that's huge. Percentage, I'd say, has evened out a little bit, but definitely still advantage Blob. You look at that Incubus at 99%, the Stalker at 93%, Flea 91%. But Jiffy has got a Flea on him now. The Lavadashi finally in the fight, but the Wolfpack, the Blob Wolfpack, are gonna push these assaults, it looks like. And I'm not sure that they're gonna be able to respond. Did Yandu just lose an arm? Okay, so I thought it was a torso maybe, but it's just an arm. But luckily, Blob's Wolfpack able to fall back in line and protect their assaults. As this is definitely a close game still. Vulcan, Noble Rat, and Shine Plasma both could go down very quickly. Maybe potentially the first two to die despite all the early damage that 228R suffered. Shine Plasma really looking low. And 228R was able to get significant ticks on Theta. It's not... It is... I mean, 228R will be able to win if they can hold 3 caps. Blob has to think of something here, as this game is starting to kind of slip away. Jiffy's been halved, though, but he's actually got a lot of armor. The percentage might look bad, but he's got a lot of armor left
With
on
only
his
2
remaining.
AC-10s left.
Yeah,
Not
true.
much of a fight.
True. Not a lot of firepower, but he's still kicking. Yorshka in the XC took all that early damage. Still red armor, but not quite cord. Blob's got to pick an angle and push. There goes Fire Ant. So Fire Ant dies in the Jenner. So
Yondu may die soon as well. Is CT open and get some hits from one of the assaults from
Ash and Yondu
Blobs.
and Shine Plasma all beat up. Chronite, Temporary, and Argnetheus all pretty healthy. Yondu goes down to Lavadashi. And here comes the push. Light's pushing up to Theta. Gonna try to get these kills. Temporary access going around the back way. I don't like that. Chronite gets lagged. Zelk and the Viper loses most of his weapons. But the XC able to just rain death here, as Argnetheus and Chronite are going to lose legs in this fight. We'll see if Gladisaur is able to just continue to hang in. But no, he goes down.
No.
Unless they can get to Yorshka, it's going to be hard to cap this point. As 228R loses a lot of their mechs. Temporary Axis, is he lagged? No, but he's close to it. Really close to it. Theta is uncapped, though, and ticking back to a Blob. So they're able to get the kills and get the cap point. Yorshka unable to deny, as they're able to tick significantly on this cap point. Ash needs to hold Kappa. Royal Star and Andy Lard transitioning to Kappa. And it's just a really wounded Ash. So I will say I'm not sure if Ash just needs to get 1 or 2 shots. Just 1 or 2 shots.
Yorka gets a kill on Shine Plasma. But it's probably gonna end in Blob's favor.
I believe Blob has this here, even with a 2 cap. Even with basically a 1 cap at this point. It is going to be able to go their way on kills. So that really is huge for Blob. Able to get a win on Viridian and get to the next map. That critical cap on Theta early, where they just slivered it and were able to just hang on for dear life, just white knuckle that thing up until about 450 ticks. Yeah, I mean, 228R was able to flip it back, but by that point, they never were able to catch up. You know, the cap lead was just too great. That a 3-2 cap lead wasn't enough for them to catch up until, you know, until Blob was able to come up with their response and get that light Wolfpack push, you know, to and through Theta, and prevent the deny. So, really, really good stuff from Blob, answering the bell there, facing elimination, and we will see a game 4.
Yep.
Really good stuff from Ash, almost 700. Yorshka in the XC, almost 1,000 damage from Yorshka in the XC. Shine Plasma had a good deal. Flip and Griff, you know, 450. Yondu and the Warhammer had 300. You know, I didn't love the pick. Lavadashi was able to finally get in that fight, do about 500, but more of a trade battle. Do we swap sides here?
I believe no. We only swap for the last game.
Okay, we're only swapping for the last game, so we're going to Terra. We'll see a game 4. I think this is the first game 4 of the day.
Yeah, you're correct.
Which, love to see it.
Oh yeah, that's wrong Terma.
Oh, this is Crucible. My bad.
Yep.
Why are they not in alphabetical order? That's
yeah, just
stupid.
how it is.
So we're gonna go to the map room here. You know, Viridian, as we talked about Theta really was the critical point. We did not see Team 2 have to lever Epsilon because they were able to get Theta early. They by the time that the fight really happened, they end up choosing to lever Theta again instead of Epsilon. With their assaults that beat up, you can't really do the D5 push. But they're healthy enough wolf pack. I would say healthy enough. I mean, they most of them lost their legs in that fight, but were able to get the kill on the Crusader that they needed. Were able to chase off, or kill the Viper and chase off the other lights and able to flip Theta. So, yeah, a lot of these trade strats really hinge on a single cap point. Terra, really, really interesting map. Really, really interesting. We do have Blob getting the Team 2 side. So Blob gets to choose their map, and we talked about, hey, can you, is there a way to see a reverse sweep here? After 228R goes up 2-0, and Blob gets to go back to Viridian, go back to a map they picked, they feel comfortable on, and then they get to go to a map like Terra where there is kind of a side advantage, in my opinion, and they get to pick their favorite side, which would be Team 2. I'm curious to see what exactly Blob chooses to do. These positions, in my opinion, are very strong. The positions I'm about to throw up there. But these positions are very strong for assault mechs to get around Kappa. You can deny towards Sigma, you can deny towards Gamma, you can keep Kappa, and you can even get like maybe a light medium, beam laser Mishu Peshu or something out towards Gamma too, like towards the edge of the map to help deny this Gamma, which is kind of more difficult to deny from up here. But you can really lever a cap strategy from Team 2 side that doesn't hinge on Theta. And it's very hard for Team 1 in order to I didn't even call time yet. It's very hard for Team 1 to really get 3 caps. Usually I believe Gamma. You give up Sigma back cap and play for Gamma, I think is generally what you want to do, because Gamma's a little bit harder to deny from that Sky Ring. If you can suppress Sigma, then that's also good, but it's hard. It's hard to do. So we'll see what these teams elect to come up with. But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, that's for sure. And from Team 1 side, you really need these 3 cap points, and yeah, I believe most of the teams play for Gamma, which may be the play, but if you still have these assaults here, maybe troublesome. You're gonna lose some armor on the Volk there, or you can just stay in the Elliot 7 area and just try to hold on to Sigma for as long as possible. Or this Vulcan that you, like volcano, you can jump into. And I believe some of the medium mechs can jump on this side, where you can kinda see Sigma and try to deny it. So we'll see if our teams will bring something like that today, and if they will make a push for Sigma or Gamma to win.
Yeah, definitely an opportunity for Blob to equalize here and get us to Frozen. And Blob's been good on Frozen. So I really think 228R they gotta really buckle down and put this one away. They had great chances there on Viridian. They just weren't able to close it out. Went down early, battled back, just weren't able to. Yeah.
Yeah, Viridian was very similar to HPG we saw today. It just swung in the last moment towards
How
Blob
much
team
time
instead of
left?
Reapers.
3 minutes. So it seems like they want to take their time to really talk about this one. Even inquiring about how much time's left. When you're maybe not practicing as much. I mean, I'm not saying Blob isn't practicing at all, although they say they don't practice at all. You might not know the exact technique until you get there match day. I've never. I mean, I wouldn't know what that team dynamic is if they're not practicing. But it's very possible. I mean, that they're not learning these strategies until right now in the lobby.
What I see here and what I believe they may be talking about is that Team 1 for the Reapers, they have most of their mechs in Alpha and Brava, and only one in Charlie, so
Yeah, well,
usually people put more mechs in Charlie just to go to Theta and Epsi, so maybe we can expect some push towards Kappa.
They also only have 7 guys in lobby. So, that's also a factor. Only
Yeah,
7 guys
that
in
is true.
lobby, so they're waiting on somebody to get back, presumably. I certainly hope they didn't have someone who had to go.
Yeah, I believe they lost G-Ram here.
G-Ram
Was
has
playing
not been playing.
in
Has
previous.
G-Ram been playing? I don't think he has.
Yeah, he definitely was in the first match, where he was playing as one of the assaults trading on the wall. And I believe he was in the second match as well, although I don't remember what mech he was playing.
Well, anywho.
Okay. Yeah, they got last 8 player here. And they're locked.
And they're locked, so they had about 1 minute left. Let me transition real quick to the match view.
Alright, I'm loaded in. I'm gonna go to the Gamma side to meet with the Blob team there and to tell you what mechs they're bringing.
Alright, well, did you say you want to do Team 1 side or Team 2 side?
Team 2 side.
Okay, well, I've got Team 1 side, and they are bringing a Direwolf B, XC, and Stone Rhino. So Direwolf is stacking AC5s, 5 AC5s and 3 Plasma Cannons. Certainly an interesting build. Let's go in Sigma right away. Locust, Phoenix Hawk, Osiris, and Shadowcat going Sigma right away. But Team 1 is looking to transition Kappa side. We've seen this from Team 1 from 228R. I should have mentioned it in the pregame, where they rotate Kappa side from Team 1. So they're going to give up Theta, actually, from Team 1 side, which is not recommended.
Theta is controlled by the enemy.
But they can deny these high ground positions somewhat. I mean, by just advancing their mechs to the point that, Blob can't take them up. Can't get their mechs there fast enough. Royal Star took a big shot. We'll see Not, you know, only slivering Theta and Gamma I don't like from Blob.
Yeah, it seems it's a running strategy of just leaving the caps and
Yeah,
then they
but
capping it more.
you can't really deny sliver caps that well. I mean, you can prevent them from capping it. But here comes 228R. They're rolling back to Theta in force. All their mechs are really just stacked up in this gorge. A couple of them end up going to Sigma, but we got a Theta fight here, and I believe Blob's got serious numbers, 4 on 2. And yeah, I mean, Theta gets ticked back to 228R.
Resource point Theta is ours.
Well, not back, but to 228R for the first time, because you just can't, I mean, you can't deny that when it's slivered like that. Kappa is, you know, slivered, but Cronite's going to try to tick it up. But now 228R is on the back foot. They've got to find a way to cap probably Sigma. Shine Plasma and the Direwolf's trying to get to his spots. I think he might have got stuck. Jump jet fuel recharged finally. I don't know if he has enough jump jets on that Direwolf to get to the rock that he needs to get to. So that's not ideal for Blob.
Yeah, and I can see Reapers already pushing in on Kappa. There is a chance they're gonna meet up with Blob here.
Reaper's gonna try to push Kappa. Both sides with the Direwolf. Shine, what is Shine's build? Gaussier large. But Lavadashi trying to put some damage out with those AC-10s. And, I mean, Blob just responding to this push by trying to come and defend, but no cap pressure on Theta. Like, I mean, they have an opportunity here to potentially take it back. Yorshka taking some damage, though. The caps tick further in favor. What is Arnetheus and Noblerad doing? Why are they pushing?
It seems they want to get a kill on Jiffy and haven't seen all of the Reapers here waiting for them to push in.
I mean, they've got a little bit of cover here. It's not really a full push, but pushing pretty far up. Just a lonely Nightjeer out behind the fight, kind of meandering out in no man's land for Blob. Don't love that if you're them. You're fighting undermanned here. But the fights, I would say Blob's doing a good job here. Shine Plasma finally able to get to the rock he needs to, and this is going to be really not good for 228R. As Lavadashi's just out in the open. I mean, he can shoot his AC-5s up there, but I don't think the range is there. Hopefully just suppressive fire can come in. Gladisaur, though.
Reapers,
Gladisaur, really
yeah.
good spot. Gladisaur, really good spot to just beam laser Ash.
Lavadashi getting pushed and dies.
Yep, Lavadashi goes down the Direwolf. But Ash is, he's taking a beating himself, and, sorry if the angles haven't been actually great. I'm still getting used to these camera controls. Jiffy pushed back. Nightjeer's gonna tick Epsilon, but Blob is losing Gamma, so... Oh, there, down goes Yorshka. Blob needs to probably push to try to convert this, and here comes the push. They've got the assaults killed. They can try to push the lights in, but that beam laser Shadowcat is just bearing down. Cronite has been legged. Jiffy about to go down, though. Ooh, they don't get him yet. They don't get him yet. Jiffy really tough out in that Stone Rhino. There goes Jiffy and Royal Star's been legged too. So really not good for the 228R, but they have got a big cap lead, an Ice Ferret, a Locust, and a Shadowcat. So if this Ice Ferret can get away, you know, might be trouble. They've got legs. Oh, they've got a lot more mechs, does Blob, but Temporary Access and the Shadowcat, so that's Incubus and a Shadowcat, both legged. Still got a fast-moving Vulcan and a fast-moving Flea, but I'm not sure about too many other fast movers. This Nightjare's got to be sticky on Epsilon. He knows that. He's fresh. He's just trying to get some distance. But Theta
And the Lardora
fight
GG.
is really going to be critical here, as the Ice Ferret's got the Flea
Enemy
one-on-one.
forces have Sigma.
Noble Rat coming in to support, as is Yondu. But able to get the kill on the Flea, that's huge from Andy Lard. Absolutely massive. And Epsilon's going back to Blah, or 228R. That's critical. No, Slip and
We have
Griff.
gained Epsilon.
No, you can't let that happen. Oh,
Gets
and
a
down
kill on
goes
Yondo as
Yondu.
well.
Andy Lard absolutely clutching up. Can he get the kill on Noble too? Can he just put him to sleep here?
Ooh, gets a
Just coming
hit
in.
from Stone Rhino.
But
Loses a side torso, but still winning a lot of time here on Theta.
still just buying time is Andy Lard. And Epsilon, we've got a fight on Epsilon as well. Andy Lard goes down. This could be a 4-cap spot. Fire Ant needs to get sticky and get Epsilon from Slip and Griff. Just hold it. Can he get close to that? Close enough of the Nightjar? He has, but is it good enough? Can he just prevent being killed? Kappa's going down, though.
Controlled by the enemy.
Alright, well, it's a 3-cap. I don't think a 4-cap wins it. I think it's over for Blob.
Fire and still staying alive. Stone Rhino in here trying to help
They
the Sleeping
need
Griff.
Gamma. Was Noble Rat legged? Noble Rat was legged by Andy Lard. Wow.
Oh
Andy
wow.
Lard with the critical play. Legs the Vulcan, kills the Flea, and he killed one more, the what was it? The Warhammer. Shine Plasma goes
Gathered
down.
enough resources. This
And
triumph
that's a
will provide
win
us
for
huge
Reapers.
technical benefits.
Reaper
Wow.
loses on kills, but is able to hang in. Gladisaur was able to get a kill on the backside too. We're monitoring that fight, but Gladisaur gets a kill on the backside and would have secured the back cap potentially too. So they get the big lead on caps and they're able to convert. Really tough way for Blob to go down in a match where, you know, you had like an 8-3 mech advantage, but you just didn't have legs on your Shadowcat, didn't have legs on your Incubus, took a lot of percentage on the Warhammer and the Flea, and Andy Lard with the play of the game, really, in my opinion. You know, the damage number might not show it, only 216, but that Theta play was not only textbook, above and beyond textbook. Just really an incredible play there to get those kills, get that leg. If the Vulcan has legs, maybe he, gets back to the back cap and maybe something happens. But no, just closing it out. Andy Lard just shutting it down. Excellent match tonight. Gonna go 3-1 in favor of Reapers. Didn't get the game 5. But that's not necessarily indicative of how close this match was. Incredibly well fought match from both teams. For Blob, they're gonna go home. They're gonna have their off season. Better, performance, better finish than they really expected. This was a team that planned on playing 20 games and calling it a tournament. They're gonna end up in 8th place. So you'll definitely take that. I'm sure some of those guys had ambitions to go further. I mean, you play these games to win these games. But as for 228 Reapers, struggled in Comp Q, but they're really on a heater now as they secure placement in top 6. And they've got a chance to play Mantra next week. They might be favored in that game. And if they can beat Mantra, that's a top 4 finish for a 228 Reapers team that really started the season slow, but is now really coming on as you get into these more structured matches as the tournament moves along. So really excited to see what Reapers can do next week. Next week, obviously the headliner, DSC versus Vile. I believe that is next week. But we also have the losers bracket. We have a couple losers bracket games. Mantra versus, as we just talked about, 228R, and Fjord Visigoths versus 10th Lyran Guards. So the current timing is we begin the day. Usually you have the undercard. No, we are going to start next week, 2 p.m. Star or 2 p.m. Eastern. I believe that's, you could do the math, 1800 UTC. Darksea Corsairs versus Vigilance. Then it will be Mantra versus 228R, and then Visigoths versus 10th Lyran Guards to end the day. I think this is going to be the best slate of games that we've had. I think all of those games could be competitive, have the shape up to be competitive matchups. 10th Lyran versus Fjord, they met in invitationals. Fjord won. 10th Lyran has added some pieces and has really grown through this tournament. I think that'll be a competitive match. Hard to really tell what Mantra is. They got the win against Potato Carry Society. But other than that, I mean, we only really saw them in invitationals. They play a 228 Reapers team that's really coming off a hot streak. After beating, a good KDCM team and a really talented Blob team. And then, of course, Darksea Corsairs versus Vigilance. I mean, I don't need to tell you why that's such a big game. End up with the invitationals not being the overall 1-2 seeds, but definitely coming into this tournament, those were the teams that everyone, was kind of picking to go all the way to the end, to potentially win a world championship. So, chance to go and at least get the first win in what will probably be a multiple matchup series in that game.
Yep, that is true. Certainly a lot of interesting games next week. And I believe it's gonna be all for today. And
Yeah.
for this week of matches.
Yeah, well, I'm excited. Good way to end the day. Most competitive match of the day, and was really fun to cast. So, we'll see. We'll see what these teams can do next week. But I'm really excited about all of these matchups next week. I think you should have a really competitive slate of games, and you can pick. You can tell me any three teams win. You can line it up however you want, and I think that'll be a believable outcome. So, really excited to see what happens next week. Well, I'm gonna call it, and thank you guys for tuning in, and hope you have a good night.
Yep. Thanks for coming, everyone, and bye bye.
Thanks for casting, Mokor.